On a serious note, I just want to spend a few minutes and talk about an event that's going on of great interest in our community and specifically in the Lido Balboa Peninsula community. And as the representative of District 1, I wanted to share with you that I have heard from many, many people about the need to preserve St. James the Great Church, which is designated in the general plan as private institutional. Many of you know I had a town hall meeting last week that filled the room and beyond with concerned members of the community. I know a lot of time and energy went into the development of the general plan, and that the general plan, which was adopted by the council and the voters in 2006, is, I quote, a vision for the city's future and a strategy to make that vision a reality. Based on my review of the general plan, it is clear that having local community churches that are easily accessible to residents is a big part of what makes our community special, and I am supportive of this approach to land use planning. I also think it's important for the community to know that I take the general plan seriously because it is designed to, quote, provide protection and preservation for existing neighborhoods, end quote, and lets people know that the general types of uses that are permitted around your home, quote, unquote, out of our general plan. Giving people a sense of certainty about what future land uses may exist in a neighborhood is important to me, and I am glad that the general plan gives us a comprehensive approach to how land uses interact with each other. I also appreciate the large diversity of faith that we have in this community and the many churches that allow the residents to practice their faith in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Muldoon.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in with the same sentiments, but I would like to concur with Councilwoman Diane Dixon's statements. I received a lot of communications, emails on this issue, and I'm a big supporter of St. James the Great and the zoning as is. Thank you.
And let me also address the St. James issue, because I'm very concerned, as are my colleagues, about the lack of facilities and the lack of zoning and the lack of availability for new churches in our community. We have churches who meet in restaurants, who meet in public buildings and schools and libraries, because we don't have enough space to build churches or synagogues to respond to the need in our community. So before we have any land use decisions that remove that, I'm going to look very carefully at how we preserve and protect those areas in our community that are set aside for sacred spaces. I'll have to say personally I thought it was deplorable how the Episcopal bishop dealt with the prior congregation, and I think it's despicable how he's dealt with this congregation. And so I'm going to look very carefully at any decision that comes before the council that would take away space in our community for future religious communities.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Arthur Jeppe, and I'm a long-term resident of Lido Island. The subject is St. James the Great Episcopal Church. I know you've heard a lot about it up to now, and I don't want to belabor the subject much longer, but I would like to just add a couple of points. I realize that it might be putting the cart before the horse by discussing this before the developer has a chance to present the project to you, but it is a critical issue that will affect the community for many years. Looking at a more immediate impact, we are faced with a situation where St. James the Great Church is approaching the loss of its property within the next 3 days, and that's with the escrow on the sale closing this week. The congregation has been told by Bishop Bruno that their last service will be this Sunday, and the developer has not extended the opportunity for the congregation to lease back the space. So this will result in an abandoned site, a boarded up facility for years to come while the developer tries to rezone the property. I've seen how an abandoned building on Via Lido and the Christian Science Church deteriorated under a similar situation and became an eyesore and a blight in the neighborhood. The dilemma is that a church that has been on the site for over 70 years, a holy and consecrated ground, that is a special place in the Lido community, that is providing important spiritual, religious, and social cohesion, is facing immediate destruction without the opportunity for the public consideration of the necessary rezoning. This isn't right, and I'm asking for the council to help resolve the issue in any manner or means that is at their disposal. Clearly, clear heads can come to some solution. Once again, St. James the Great Church will be forced off their property in less than 1 week. Your attention to this urgent matter will be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Piotr, did you want to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to say anything about this project earlier, but I was on the Planning Commission when this zoning was put into place that implemented the 2006 General Plan Amendment, and we had long discussions on the Planning Commission regarding church zoning or assembly zoning, and I agree with Mr. Curry. I just wanted to say that again. That we are going to look very close. I'm going to look very close at this property, and I feel very strongly that church zoning is a benefit to the community, and that it would be difficult to convince me that there might be a higher and better use. But right now, my thoughts are that it's an important aspect or asset to the community. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Petros.
I appreciate your comments, and I do appreciate my colleagues up here. I think you're hearing unanimity about the house of worship issue. But I'd like to present to you another dilemma, maybe a different definition, and I'm going to ask you to help me, which is unusual. There is a transaction between two private parties. The city has yet to be approached, or this body has yet to be approached to act in any way. And the dilemma is we probably won't be for at least a year, if not more. So that issue of an abandoned building will come to pass. And it will come to pass by no action of this council. Okay? If we do nothing and allow the institutional use to remain as the zoning, the church will be gone. How to remedy that or ensure that there is an opportunity for that site to remain a house of worship and to be able to be reused again becomes the dilemma. And quite frankly, colleagues, I don't know. I have received numerous, dozens, close to 100 emails from individuals, and I understand that. When we are entertaining churches in industrial sites, in schools, in the old city hall, that's horrible. People of faith deserve houses of worship to conduct their services and their worship. But how we address this issue, I have to admit, I don't have an answer yet. So I think it's incumbent on both of us to explore opportunities. And I'm delighted to hear what I'm hearing up here on the council from my colleagues. But I have to be honest with you. I feel as though my hands are tied because nothing's come before us, and this transaction will run itself and be done without anything that we can do here regarding the removal of the church from the property. What we do with that property in the future, let's work together on that.
Mr. Mayor, council member, I am Reverend Cindy Voorhees from St. James the Great. Thank you for having us here today. I was in Diane's council or town meeting and spoke about the benefit of the church and all the programs we have. And Councilman Petros, you asked what you could do to help, and you did tonight. Thank you for your support. There's an organization that's been formed, and today Save St. James the Great has filed a temporary restraining order on this process so that we can have more time to react, because Bishop Bruno gave us 6 weeks and waited half that time before he came down and spoke to us. There has been a lot of discussion about how he's gone about this, and I won't get into canon law, but there's a lot of people in the diocese and in the nation watching this. So I would just say if you could continue in your support. There's 5 of you that have spoken up. I hope the developer is here tonight because I used to be in construction. I actually helped build St. James the Great. I was the liturgical architect. And I know that this is very important that you voice your opinion so that maybe they will be deterred. There is a huge community of people coming to St. James from all faiths. And it's an ecumenical place where people are learning music, the arts. We hold a parking lot that's being very widely used by the community with 80 spaces. We are in the process of finding more spaces for the CUP, as people know. But we are an active member of this community trying to serve the community. We're one of the last churches that sits 375 people. We are open to meetings that you may need. We are trying to be of service to this community in greater ways that in 21st century church we should be doing. We've embraced coding school. We are doing coding for schools in all different ages, from 3-year-olds up to 80-year-olds. There's just such a tremendous ministry going on. I would hate to see this, but disappear. But you have helped tonight, and I want you to know that people are listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
All right.
Ladies first.
My name is Evelyn Kroner, and I own a house on Lido, and I am a member of St. James the Great Church. You asked what you can do. You can vote to affirm the 2006 plan for Lido Village, the zoning plan. That's what you could do. If you had a little vote right now, and whether that could be done without being on the agenda in advance, I don't know, but you could set a vote for the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll try and not repeat. My name is Bob Voorhees. I always introduce myself as I'm the man behind the woman. I'm married to the vicar. So thank you for the opportunity to speak, Mayor and council members. I think as citizens of Newport Beach and elected officials of Newport Beach, we all have a responsibility to be wise stewards, to preserve the quality of life in Newport Beach and to preserve the resources that are available to us in Newport Beach. Councilman Petros asked a great question. What can you do to stop it? I don't know that there's anything legally that any of you can do to stop it. We're doing what we can in what we feel is an unlevel playing field, but we've got a pretty strong bunch of people to be able to address that. The challenge is once it's gone, it's gone. Once the transaction happens and it closes, whether it's a paved parking lot or whether it's a vacant church building, it's going to be hard to recover that. So we will do everything within our power to preserve the sacred space and the spirit of the community. I guess what we want to point out is there's a lot that we do for the community. It's not just the church and the members of the church. We host a brownie troop. We host voting when there's elections. We have holy coding to help teach people how to code and create apps. We host weddings. We host funerals. We host the Pacific Symphony, the Laguna Beach Chorale. There's a lot of benefit in terms of community events to the residents of the community, not just the members of the church. Specific concerns. Is anybody concerned about water and the resources that we have available to us? We're all on restriction. We've got drought, more residents, more water, more challenges, more problems. Parking, traffic, all of that with more high-density housing and taking away space that enhances the quality of life is a real challenge for us. We already have 23 townhomes going up next door. Safety access. Are police vehicles, fire vehicles, ambulances going to be able to get onto Lido Island and throughout the area as we make it more dense and more challenging? Most importantly, we're simply asking for a level playing field. We went to the town hall meeting that Mayor Pro Tem Dixon hosted, and we heard vague things. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't have an application. We really don't know what the project is. In the meantime, there's also conversation that the developer has been in multiple meetings with city officials. There's drawings. There's advanced talks, per the developer's quote to the Lido Island Community Association, about people meeting about the outcome of the firehouse and potentially extending the development down there. We're already stung a little bit by an unlevel playing field and a lack of transparency by the bishop and the diocesan folks. All we're asking for is a fair shake and fair consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.